In this Photoshop tutorial, I am going to walk you through the process of working with simple geometric selections. The more you know how to select, the more you're going to be able to cut things out to produce future layouts and compositions. So I'm going to go to File and Open. I will go find my Chapter 5 folder and 5.1 Selection Marquees. Okay, so as you can see right here, my bottom layer is our entire street scene. Right here, I've got a layer with two little robots. Here, I've got a layer with the one big robot. And right here, it says paint strokes here. So as visual proof to me that you have selected everything correctly, you're going to follow the directions here. It's time to learn about marquee selection basics. What I want you to do is select each of the numbered objects and then paint a 10 pixel blue stroke around each one as proof that you did it right. So what I'm going to do is take my eyedropper and I'm going to click on this blue type so I have the same shade of blue. And it doesn't matter what layer you're on for now when you're making selections. So since I'm going to be painting my proof, I'm just going to stay right up there. I'm going to zoom in on sign number 1, pizza by the slice. And for a rectangle marquee, you're going to press and hold in the upper right corner and go to your rectangle marquee. Simply click and drag from one corner to the next. So I'll go to the upper left and drag straight across to the lower right. As proof that I selected that correctly, I have my light blue. I'm on the layer, paint strokes here. And I'm simply going to go to Edit menu, Stroke. Okay, it's going to ask me for the thickness, so I'm going to type 10. And it's going to ask me where I want to paint the stroke. So I'm going to center that on my selection, which means if it's 10 pixels, 5 will be painted inside the edge of this selection. 5 will be painted along the outside edge of that selection. It's centered, it's normal, it's 100% blue, no transparency, and when I click OK, that's my visual proof that I have selected that rectangle correctly. I'm going to hit Command D to deselect on my Mac. That would be Control D to deselect on a PC. And then I can hold my space bar for my hand tool and I'll push this up. And now for the turtle crossing sign, we have a perfect square. So that just means you take your same rectangle marquee, hold your shift key for a perfect circle, and I'll go around the outer edges of that black right there. I let go of the mouse first, then I let go of my shift key, and I repeat the stroke process again. Edit, stroke. These settings are all remembered, so now I just have to click OK each time. Command D on my Mac, Control D on a PC. Hold my space bar for the hand, and I'll come across here to number 3. Let me just move my layers panel out of the way a little bit here. And now we have this little crosswalk area, but you can see it's in perspective. So the problem is, if I go to this bottom right corner and I click and drag up to the same height and the same width, right about there, obviously the corners are going to be sticking out on both sides. That's not going to work. This object is in perspective. So what you have to understand is there are two different transform features. Edit menu, transform, and perspective. If I click and drag, it's going to go in perspective. But notice it hit that part of the blue. That's not good. It tore apart my drawing. So I'm going to hit the escape key. Okay. What I want to do is just transform the selection independently of anything in this photo. And the way you transform a selection is under Select Menu. Transform the selection independently of any pixels. Now all that's going to do is let you transform another rectangle. Okay, this is still going to be a rectangle. It's not going to be in perspective. So in the upper left corner of my keyboard, I hit the escape key if I ever make a mistake. And now the process is select menu, transform my selection, hold my control key on a Mac or right click on a PC, and now you get a context menu. What type of transformation would you like to make? Perspective. Now when I pull in this upper right corner, the upper left corner will come in. Pull the upper left corner, the upper right corner will come in its proper perspective. Anytime you are done transforming, you have to remember on a PC, hit enter. On a Mac, hit return. You have to tell Photoshop you are done with that transformation. And now that I am, and I've warped a selection in its proper perspective, edit, stroke, OK. Command D on a Mac or Control D on a PC to deselect. And if you're ever worried about your computer freezing up on you, save your progress. I would probably get used to doing that every time I finish a shape because I don't want to have to start this all over again. I've already got 3 shapes done. So remember, you go to File, Save a Copy. That allows you to keep all your layers in a Photoshop file, preserves your layers. You want to save it on your desktop, and I'll call that last name, first name, selection marquees. I save it on my desktop. Click OK if you get the maximize compatibility window. And remember, this is still the original photo that I opened. This is not the one with my name. So I have to close this file by hitting the X. Don't need to save that because now I can go to File and Open, and on my desktop I open my file, the one with my name on it, or the one with your name on it. Now I can pick up where I left off. So here's number 4. I'm going to zoom in on that. And I hold my space bar to get the hand tool to pull it around. And all I want to do is do a general selection around these signs. I'm not concerned with the curves. I'm concerned with these 2 angular rectangles. So right up here, the second tool down on the left, if you press and hold, you have a normal lasso, which kind of does this, just any organic kind of shape. And I'll click outside. Or if you press and hold, you have a polygon lasso. Now, there's one thing you have to be aware of with this. It plays an endless game of connect the dots. So when you click and let go, now you stretch the line. Go to your next area, click and then move, click and then move, click and then move. And if you forget where you ended, this thing will go on forever like a big Spider-Man spider web. Okay? Click all you want. It's just going to keep going. So if that ever happens, stop clicking, pause for a second, double click. That will close it up. It's obviously incorrect. So Command D to deselect on a Mac. That would be Control and D to deselect on a PC. And again, I'm more concerned with the rectangular shapes. So I'm not concerned with the curves. I'm going to show you how to do curves later. Okay, I'm going to just start right here in this corner. Click and let go, come out. Click and let go, come down. Click and let go. Click and let go. Click and let go. I'll come up here, click and let go. Come out to here, click and let go. Click and let go. Click and let go, and come back to the start. You'll see a tiny little circle next to your cursor. That's called your loop. You've looped all the way around back to the start, and you click one time, And if you did it right, you will see those marching ants. Okay, that is now a completed enclosed selection area. Like I said before a couple of times, I'm not concerned with these corners sticking out. That's no big deal. But now you know how to make a more complex selection with your polygon lasso. I'll go to Edit, Stroke, OK, and that is good enough for me. You know how to use the polygon lasso. Command D on a Mac to deselect, Control D on a PC, and what I would also suggest is get off of this tool, because if you accidentally click, now you're going to be stuck in this polygon thing again. Okay, so when you're done using it, press and hold and go back to the lasso tool. Very, very important. I'm going to hold my space bar for the hand and I'm going to push this up. So I come down to this stop sign. So here's another great little trick. I'm going to keep it on the polygon lasso, but I'm not going to start with the polygon. I'm actually going to start with a rectangle marquee. The problem is I don't have a corner to start from. Okay, so here's the trick. I'm going to start way out here. I'm going to click and drag a square or a rectangle, whatever you want to call it, about the size of that stop sign, but I'm not going to let go of my mouse. While I'm holding the mouse, I hold down the space bar at the same time and I move my mouse. I move my rectangle selection. So I'm going to line it up on the top, line it up on the left, right about there. I let go of only the space bar, not the mouse yet. And now when I move the mouse, I can resize it to the right side and the bottom side. So I've completely surrounded the top, right, left, and bottom. I have these corners sticking out, so that's obviously not an octagon. It's just mainly like a square. So here's how you subtract from a selection. You go to your polygon lasso. By itself, it's just going to make a brand new selection. But if you hold your Option or Alt key, Option on a Mac, Alt key on a PC, you will see a minus to subtract. So what I'm going to do is this bottom left corner. I'm holding Option, I'm going to click, and I'm not going to let go of the Option or Alt key. I'm going to come right over to that corner near there, click, come across, click, click, and find my way back to the start while holding the Option or Alt key. And when I click right there back at the beginning, it slices off that corner. Your Option or Alt key is to subtract from selections. So I'll just start way down here. That's the nice thing. It doesn't matter where you start from. As long as I'm holding Option or Alt, I can click, come up near that corner, click, go across that edge, click, and come back to the start while holding Option or Alt. And now I've sliced off a second corner. I'll continue to hold Option or Alt key and I'll click, 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 back to the start. I've sliced off a third corner. Click, 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 while holding Option or Alt key, click, and now I've sliced off those four corners, creating an octagonal marquee based off the original rectangle marquee. So now that that's done, I just don't want to accidentally click with my polygon lasso again. So I'll just switch back to the normal lasso, or in this case, just go to your Move tool. I'm on the top layer, Edit, Stroke, OK. Command D on a Mac or Control D on a PC. Command S on a Mac to save my progress. That's Control S on a PC to save your progress. My space bar will activate my hand tool to pull this down. And now I've got a rectangle with rounded corners. So I go to my rectangle marquee. It doesn't have a corner to start from. So what I'm going to do is click and drag from up here. Now I hold my space bar and I move my mouse. I did not let go yet. Move it to line it up with the top and the left. Let go of just the space bar. I'm not done with my mouse. And now I'll move my mouse to resize it right there. Now I can let go of the mouse. Okay, but I've got 4 corners that are sticking out. So if that becomes the issue, you can go to Select menu. Since you're dealing with a selection, you're going to modify or change your selection by smoothing out the corners. Okay, when I smooth, that's like taking a block of wood and rubbing sandpaper. Okay, mine came up as 15 because I was practicing before I did this demo. So 15 is a good rounding value right there. So I'll type in 15 pixels and I click OK. Now I've got rounded corners around this round corner sign. Okay, I'm still on the same top layer. Edit, stroke, OK. Command D on a Mac or Control D on a PC. I've got 6 out of the 11 objects done already. I'll save my progress. Command S on a Mac, Control S on a PC. And now I'll come down to number 7, this oval. So again, the upper right corner is your rectangle marquee, but if you press and hold, you have an elliptical. The problem with the elliptical is you don't have a corner to start from. So again, by using your space bar, you don't have to have a corner. I can start over here. Once I get an oval about the size I want, I don't let go of my mouse. I just hold my space bar, and now I move my mouse. I'll line it up with the top and the left side. It's not quite the right size, so I only let go of the space bar, and now I continue to pull with my mouse, and I line it up on the right side and the bottom side. I let go of the mouse, edit, stroke, OK. Command D on a Mac or Control D to deselect each and every time. If you can't see where the number 8 is, just take your magnifying tool, click and drag to the left a little bit, space bar to pull it over. Now I click and drag to the right to zoom in. And now I want to create a perfect circle. So I go to my elliptical marquee and I hold my Shift key. Okay, I don't have a corner again. So I can hold my Shift key, start up here and drag. When I get a circle about the right size, I'm guessing that's about the right size. I'm holding my Shift key the whole time. I'm not letting go of my mouse because I'm not done drawing yet. Now while I'm holding the Shift key and the mouse, I simultaneously press on the space bar. And now I'm going to pull this over. So if it helps, I'm right-handed. I got my right hand on the mouse. My left hand middle finger is holding down the Shift key. Now my index finger is holding down the space bar at the same time, and I can move my mouse. I'm going to line it up on the top and the left. Now I can see the circle I dragged is actually too big, so I only let go of the space bar. I did not let go of the mouse. I did not let go of my Shift key because I want this to be a circle. And now I just move my mouse to shrink it down right there. When I'm done, you always let go of the mouse first, then you let go of your Shift key. Now I've got a perfect circle. If you didn't get that, try it again. Or, no, I'd say try it again or keep practicing. You really want to get the hang of this. Okay, and again, it doesn't matter where you start from. I could start over here. After I start to drag, I can hold Shift because I want it to be a circle, space bar at the same time to move it, let go of just the space bar, but I'm not going to let go of that Shift key, and now I drag my mouse to make it bigger. I'm close, but I'm not quite there. So I hold my space bar again and I move my mouse so I can line it up right there. I let go of the mouse first, then I let go of the shift key, so it doesn't matter where you start from. If you use those keyboard shortcuts, you can start a selection from anywhere. I've got a perfect circle, edit, stroke, OK. Command S to save my progress, or Control S on a PC. Command D on a Mac to deselect. Control D on a PC to deselect. Here's my magnifying tool. I can drag to the left, hold my space bar for my hand tool, and now I've got these street lights, number 9. So I'll zoom in, and what I need to do is select all 3, the red, yellow, and green. So here's how this works. If you have no selections, the first selection while you're holding your shift key will be a perfect circle. Okay, I'll just do it out here for argument's sake. But anything after that, if I hold my shift key, it means add. It doesn't mean perfect circle. So notice I'll get an oval. So after the first one, I have to eyeball it like this. Okay, those two look about the same. Even though my shift key is not letting me draw a circle, I can eyeball it, let go of my mouse first, and now I'd have 2 selections. Okay, so that's what we want to do. I'm going to hit Command D or Control D on a PC, deselect everything. I'm going to hold Shift and drag the first circle. I'll hold my space bar and move it. If it's about the right size, right on the edge, right there, it's not quite the right size. So I'm going to let go of my space bar and pull my mouse to resize that right there. I let go of the mouse first. Now when I hold my shift key, it's going to create an oval. It's not going to create a circle. So I have to eyeball that while holding shift. Now I also hold space bar and move that to the yellow. Let go of my space bar and resize this to the edges of the yellow. I let go of the mouse first. Then I can rest my hand off the shift key for a second. And I'll do one more over here. Hold my shift key, hold my space bar at the same time and move it. Let go of the space bar and resize that, kind of eyeball it back into a circle right there. I let go of the mouse first, and now I have 3 selections. 3 at the same time. Okay, so again, I'm on the top layer. Edit, stroke, OK. 3 at once. Command D on my Mac, Control D on a PC. And now you can see number 10 is these really complicated shapes. I'm not going to use a rectangle or an ellipse to trace around these little robots. They're very complex objects. So you can see they have their own layer. If I turn off the eyeball, you can see them disappear. What I'm going to do is let Photoshop select them for me. So notice my hand pointer. When I'm over here or on the name, I get a finger pointer icon. But when I go right on the layer thumbnail and I hold down my Command key on a Mac or the Control key on a PC, I will see a box on top of that little hand pointer icon. What that's telling you is if you are on a Mac and you Command click right here, it will select everything that currently sits on that layer. If there were 32 robots, it would select 32. Okay, in our case, there's only 2. If you're on a PC, Control click right on the thumbnail. It will select anything that currently sits on that layer. And now that I have those 2 robots selected, those complex shapes, I come back up to the top, edit, stroke, OK. Command D on my Mac, Control D on a PC. I can hold my space bar to move it up. And now I got the big robot. Again, I hover over the layer thumbnail, command click on a Mac or control click right on the thumbnail on a PC, and that will launch a perfect selection around that complex object. I come back up to the top where I'm painting my strokes, edit, stroke like all the rest, and I simply click OK. Command D on a Mac or Control D on a PC. And now when I zoom out, there is my physical proof that I have traced every one of these objects correctly. They're all surrounded by the same light blue 10 pixel stroke. So when you get to this point, you have shown me you know rectangles, you know circles and ovals and squares and your polygon lasso and rounded corners and layer-based selections. Those are all the details on Marquee Selection Basics. So I'm going to hit save one more time, or Command S on my Mac, Control S on your PC. And then when you're done, as with everything, File menu, save a copy as a JPEG. That will flatten out all your layers. It's going to be a compressed file that you can send to me for credit for your homework. I don't even need to save anything up here. I'll just, even if it has the word copy, just leave it. Doesn't matter. You are saving a copy technically anyway. I'm on my desktop. I save my JPEG as a high quality. Right there, high. I'll just narrow that down to 8. I'm not sure when 9 came up. So 8 or high. And I click OK. And those are the basics of marquee selections here in Adobe Photoshop.